afternoon. Good afternoon. Welcome to this special edition or the special episode of Speaking Out, Exposing Corruption and Incompetence. Today, this afternoon, Thursday, the 6th day of February, 2025. First question you want to ask, why are we here at this unusual time? We are here to discuss the dismissal. The dismissal, yes, you heard me correct. The dismissal of, well, it was still, at the time of dismissed, Assistant Commissioner Calvin Brutus. Now, former Assistant Commissioner Calvin Brutus. So, I decided, and we allowed Mr. Conway, that we can't allow this thing to get stale. He was dismissed yesterday, and we agreed that we're going to come to you today and to tell you, walk you through who is Calvin Brutus, what led to this situation where he was dismissed. So we're going to tell you everything. And more than ever, we encourage you to share the live, because a lot of people would not have gotten the notification that we're on at this unusual time. So it behoves you to share. You're going to look at the chats, the people you know are usually here and are not here. Call them, tell them, hey, Slow and Conway on. They're dealing with Calvin Brutus. Share the live, and we're going to get on with it. As I've said, once the news broke yesterday afternoon that Calvin Brutus was dismissed by the Police Service Commission with effect from the 5th of February, we said, we can't wait. Friday, Barlett called him for Friday, and we had said no, but Barlett, you get even more than you had wanted. Not Friday, Thursday, we are here a day earlier. You can't wait. If you wait, this thing will get stale, and it might lose its impact. So we decided to come at this time. Now, let me tell you, as we normally say, another day that the Lord has made, let's rejoice and be glad in it. I don't know if everybody can rejoice. I don't know if CB261 can rejoice. But we who are here should rejoice and be glad in it and give praise and thanks for being in the land of the living. It's a privilege to be here this afternoon. It's a privilege to be around to see how karma works. Privilege to see how karma works. Are we going to go through it? We're going to go through it in great detail. So sit back, strap in, get your book bag and your notepad ready, and we are going to walk you through exactly what transpired. And not only that, we are going to give some background information on the individual. I think you got to put these things in context. Now, let me tell you the reason. Well, when we heard about it yesterday, you might have wanted to know, or you might want to know, why we did not come this morning. Well, I was in the High Court this morning. And I couldn't take the chance to schedule the program, and a good thing I did not, because the High Court hearing lasted till up to midday. And what am I talking about? Now, in 2022, I sued the Chronicle, or as Sherrod would say, the Chronicle newspaper, GNNL, for an article they published. I also sued the police. The police had issued a release back in 2021, and I felt this was defamatory. So I moved to the court, and after long delayed and filing and refiling, the matter was, the trial commenced and finished this morning. The trial in this defamation lawsuit, or libel in the case of GNL that brought against them, commenced and finished. Because for me, I was the only witness to be cross-examined by the counsel for GNL, and for them, they brought some acting editor and to be cross-examined. So as it is now, I think the lawyers have to make submissions, written submissions to the judge by on or before the 31st of March, and then the judge is going to rule on the matter. The judge is going to rule. So that is why I was not here this morning. And when you heard that I was in court, I wasn't a defendant. I wasn't a criminal defendant this time around. This time around, I was a claimant in a civil lawsuit brought against GNNL and the Attorney General. So I am going to any great details, but just to tell you, I'm not going to tell you all that transpired in court, but I'm going to, as I said to you, at the appropriate time, all will be revealed. I ain't only back, But I'm not going to be contemptuous of the court and comment on certain things while matters are going on. But at some stage, it will come to an end. And when it comes to an end, I will give you the full gist of all that goes on. Because I plan to read the statement that the police had issued. I plan to read what the defense of the GNNL is. Well, not the state, because the state did not file a defense. So all of these things we're going to go into in detail. So bear your chief, have patience. So here we are this afternoon. Mr. Conway, my colleague, is already in the studio. And as I've said, we are going to deal exclusively with this Calvin Brutus matter. But before I go into that, I need to let you know, certain things they don't report, certain things the police cooperate communications unit, and that thing that always seems to report things that are favorable to them, they don't report. What am I referring to? They reported, I think it was last week or sometime recently, might have been even the week before, that Deon Bascom, the sergeant who revealed, who made this bombshell revelation and accused the head of the major crime unit of taking $30 million to cover up the Paper Charge murder. And he made some, as I said, some revelation. He was charged, cybercrime charge in Georgetown. The charges in Georgetown were dismissed. Cybercrime charges on the East Coast, he was convicted. I think based on what was said, past tense, he was to be sentenced tomorrow, the 7th. And the reason why I'm using the past tense, because Bascom moved to the High Court to challenge the process and the sentencing and all of that. And he's asking the High Court to squash or quash the decision of the magistrate. So that matter is going to be argued. I understand based on what even the lawyer representing the magistrate agreed that there were some grave errors in the whole process. So I'm telling you this because they are not going to report it. They happily and gleefully reported, oh, Bascom convicted, blah, 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 blah. They reported the police corporate propaganda unit came out with a release following his conviction. But and that he's going to be sentenced, I think somewhere along the line that said the 17th, but I think it was the 7th, it's tomorrow, but that is on hold. Can't be sentenced tomorrow any longer. You got to wait on the ruling of the High Court. So I thought I'll bring you up to date with that. I'm going to bring you up to date. Now we're going to run the roll call very quickly, and then I'm going to bring Mr. Conway. Now the reason why I'm running the roll call is because I am giving you the opportunity to reach out to the other students, reach out to your classmate. You would know who used to sit next to you. You know who you should line in the schoolyard with. And you would have seen that perhaps they are not here. Reach out to them and tell them that, hey, Slow and Conway on this special session this afternoon. The program was scheduled about what? 2 o'clock. That is 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time in New York. And then the first morning was Ross Ricardo. Then Jakey here very early. Rhonda, then I'm still in the house. Diane, Dudley, my friend from Jamaica is here very, very early. You had a birthday recently. Hope you had a wonderful time, Dudley. Ian is here. Sean from New York. Claire, Brian, and Courtney are here. The Sauls are in the house. Rhonda, Vernon, Colin from Queens, Nicola, Earl, Forbes, Whitebird, 1966. Patricia G is here from New Jersey. Ulrich from West Dem is here. Crane, West Coast, Demerara. Danny, who celebrated his 70th recently too, is here with us this afternoon. Wayne from the UK is here. Aubrey from Canada. The Conor Rookman is here. Doreen, my squad mate, W349 from Canada. So too is Clarence from Canada. Carlton, another squad mate of mine. Anthony Bradshaw from Peters Hall, East Bank, Demerara. Henrik, Grace is here. Joan from New Amsterdam. Carl, Melinda, Grantley, another Saul is here. Desiree, Paulette, the Angel is in the house. Moses, Kenneth, and Kenneth is from Maryland. Dwayne, Daniel from Linden, and the one and only Selwyn is here. Selwyn said, time is longer than twine. CB, best by day, or best by date is up. I agree totally. It's best by date is up. Time longer than twine. We're going to talk about it during the course of the program. George is here. Cecile, Mary, Delanio, Carl, my squad mate from Arizona, Carville, another squad mate of mine, Clay, Annette, Marcus, Phil, Kwame is here, Wayne, Marlon, Gail, Hazel, Harold, Leon, Raul, yet it is Malay or Mali, Abera, Baled again desire why. You wanted, you asked for a special or another program on Friday, but we did you one better. We are here on Thursday. Winslow is here, Sydney, Lennox, Marcus, I can't recall seeing this Marcus before, Aubrey, Ovid, Abdul is here with us, Salima, Onika, Pastor Smith is here, Oret, Umi is here, Corinne, Roxanne, Charlene, Keyborn, Gaston, another comrade of mine out of Canada, 9556, Sandrine is here, Vorlin, Emerson, Vibert, Barbara, Neville, and then Denise was the last on the in the schoolyard. Then when we went live, Lynette from Barbados, Peter, Shalon is here with us, and many, many others. But me and this, we didn't expect the same number of students to this Thursday afternoon, but the representation was good. The representation is good, and we are going to go into it almost immediately. Let me bring in Mr. Conway. I'm going to announce an announcement to make, so I'm going to bring in Mr. Conway for him to give it the opening, and then we're going to move into the meat of the thing. CC, welcome.
Good afternoon. Happy to be in the land of the living to do God's work, And, if you read the holy books, they talk about two things. They talk about something called karma, and they talk about something called retribution. And further, I say not.
They also talk about, let me read some of the things that I had said. They said, whoever digs a pit will fall into it. That's Proverbs 26, 27. Whoever digs a pit will fall into it. If someone rolls a stone, it will roll back on them. Then the power of prayers, I tell you all the powers of prayers. I am not a prayer man, but I know many of you, my students, are prayer warriors, and you have been praying, and I suspect you will say that your prayers are answered. The power of prayers, and I tell you all, they're trying to ruin me, financially and otherwise. But whenever I go down on my knee, it's not to bow down to them, it's to pray for them. It's to pray. And this is just the beginning. Brutus is just one of many who are to fall by the wayside. Only one of many. We're going to hear about them. Then we tell you to, more of them, as I said, will suffer. You can't, as they have been doing, lying from people, doing all this other thing to people, doing all this other thing to God's children. I grew up in the country, I'm a countryman, a proud countryman. And them contributors say, and I ain't being racist, say, them contributors say the worst people for cry for you is black man who eat salt and pepper. Contributors say when black man eat salt and pepper and they cry for you, you're doomed. You're doomed. And that is what is happening here. They say, and remember, Psalms 35. Weeping may endure for the night, but joy cometh in the morning. Weeping may endure for the night, joy cometh in the morning. Let me start off by saying, again, I have no sympathy for Calvin Brutus, none. Calvin Brutus did a lot of wrong to a lot of people. And I hope he understands that it's not too late to repent. I know the Christians on this in this class will perhaps forgive him and pray for him that he changes his wicked ways. Perhaps it's not too late. Perhaps it is not too late. But let me tell you something. I will find it very, very difficult at this point. Maybe at some stage, my thinking and my feeling will change. But at this time, I find it very, very difficult to say that I'm sympathizing with Calvin Brutus, having regards to the things that he did to me personally. And I know of a lot of stories what he did to others, and some of them we are going to highlight. I'm going to talk about them as we go along. You know, one time, he sued me for speaking the truth. Sued me. I think the matter still in the court because the matter was dismissed, and then I think he appealed. And only in October last year, he had his lawyer, Earl Daniels, write me a long letter, what they call pre-action letter. Incidentally, I saw Mr. Daniels in the court this morning, and I didn't know you were in the country. Well, maybe now that he knows that I'm in the country, he's going to follow up on the threat to sue me for defaming Calvin Brutus. Imagine that. That was October of last year. So let's see where we'll go. I have nothing to hide. I'm not afraid of telling the truth. So we are going to tell you the truth. Now, first of all, let me tell you, who is this man, Calvin Brutus? I know Calvin Brutus in his early career. I don't know in his early career. I checked the records. I checked my records, and I saw that he joined the force in March 1999. To be exact, March 24, 1999. So he's just shy of, or he was just shy of 25 years service. 1999, he joined March. I know he as a constable. I can't remember him as a constable. Of course, 1999, when he joined, I was already a senior officer. I think in 1999, I would have been senior superintendent, I think, already. So I know the constable. But I understand that he was in traffic. I got to know him, know him more when he was the commander on the East Coast C Division. I knew it. I got to know him too. From there, he went to Borby's command. So I know that he was traffic man somewhere on the East Coast, they say. He was commander in C Division, based at Coventry, and then he was commander based at New Amsterdam, commander of Region 6, B Division, as it was called. Now, let me say, since Brutus has had many allegations made against him, and there are allegations, yeah? So don't forget, don't get me wrong. I remember very well that when he was commander in C Division, the ranks from C Division wrote a letter to the President Granger, complaining about financial irregularities. The letter was copied to the Police Service Commission, of which I was the chairman, and to, I think, the Auditor General. Complained something to do with extra duty monies that they claim were being misappropriated by the commander, Mr. Brutus. That was the allegation. I remember when the thing came, the commission sent it to the police for investigation. I don't know what became of that. So you had allegations there. I understand concerns were raised too when he was commander in B Division. Concerns were raised about the handling of finances. And then what happened? I think that the start of the recent troubles began in 2018. I'll bring in Mr. Conway just now when I gave the background. In 2018, Brutus was the commander of C Division, East Coast, stationed at Coventry. He then applied for and was granted vacation leave. He proceeded on vacation leave. That was just before the regional election in 2018, regional local government election. Not the general election, regional local government. Now, he was called back by the force administration to command the division during this period because I think they felt that the people who were there were not capable and competent enough to run the division during this regional election. So he was called back. He came out and worked. And when the elections were over and the force administration felt that things were back to normal, Brutus was then advised that he should go back on leave. I think that's when the trouble started. He refused to return on leave. Claiming that he wanted to accumulate his leave So that I think at the time he was going to university, he was saying that he wanted to accumulate his leave. So when it was time for him to go to law school in Trinidad, he would have leave to be used then. The administration, including the Ministry of Home Affairs, say don't work like that. You have to go on your leave. He refused to go on leave. And then a whole set of exchange of letters started. He writing the force administration. I saw many of those letters, and I consider the letters to the Commissioner James were disrespectful. All charter language he used, disrespectful language. I remember vividly one of the things he said, that the administration had set out to deliberately fail him by providing him with no good officers. And he mentioned some of the names of the officers in the letter to the commissioner, right? So it got to the stage where having this going on, and perhaps some of the things I'm saying not in sequence, but I remember very well, the late Assistant Commissioner Brian Joseph, a very good friend of mine, called me one day to say, look, there was this officer he's seeking my permission to give the officer my telephone number because he has a problem. And Joseph believed that the best person to advise him was me. So I said, no problem, give him my number. Person turned out to be Brutus. Joseph gave him my telephone number. I received a call from him shortly thereafter, and I invited him to my residence. He came in uniform, in a police vehicle. It was driven by a police rank, came. I entertained him in my living room. Why is the problem? He explained what the situation was. Can't remember all the details, but I gave him advice and so on, and he thanked me, and he left. I'm at the commission there, and then what happened? After these letters were being exchanged and so on, one of the letters in particular, I felt he was very disrespectful to the commissioner in words. And I think the feeling was that he should be disciplined. And other members of the commission prevailed on me to say, why don't we summon this officer, young officer, and have a meeting with him and discuss, find out what the difficulties are. I agreed. We wrote him officially, invited him to the police office commission, and he came one afternoon. And after the statutory meeting, we sat him down in the boardroom and we spoke to him like parents or mother, father would speak to son. What are your problems? Say what you got to go on. Each and every member questioned him. Each and every member. And then when he finished, again, I think he thanked us. I can't be sure. And then he left. Following that, a report was made to the commission that he wrote a letter to a sitting member of parliament, Don Hastings, to complain about the same issues in the force. And the force regulations prohibit that. You can't write to members of the parliament to complain about matters in the force. And for that, a decision was taken that he should be disciplined. I'm going to stop there for now and bring in Mr. Conway. I don't want to dominate the button too much. But Cece, there's a background. If you have anything to add, maybe, and to expand, please go ahead and do so.
Well, I know him. When I was Commander C Division, he worked in the traffic department. And then we met in Borbies too. He worked under my command in Borbies. And I remember one occasion, I had to ask him to leave my meeting because he was very disrespectful to a senior officer. And I been tracing his career. I know of the allegations made by the ranks in the C Division. When we were on the commission, we saw the allegation and we thought that this was no disciplinary matter. This was a criminal nature. And we sent it to the police for the CID to investigate, and maybe that was the end of it. And I can recall us calling Brutus, summoned him to the Police Service Commission, and we spoke to him like father to son. And there are two honorable women there, Claire Jarvis and Vesta Isaacs. And they spoke with him like mother to son, you know. ask him to change his attitude, his behavior. And I said Mr. Isaacs is Mr. Adams, sorry. And I recall telling him, look, I have 2 books here. One, Crucial Conversation, and the other one, Crucial Confrontation. I said, come back to me and I'll lend you. I will lend you the Crucial Conversation first. And when you finish that Crucial Confrontation, he never turned back for the books. But no matter, I still have those books. Those are 2 wonderful books. Crucial Conversation and Crucial Confrontation. And we had quite a lot of irregular things about Brutus. I won't mention some of them. And we recall about the financial irregularities, some of which are in before the court today. So I will not really try to pronounce on them. But then he had shown early signs to be disrespectful and to be wicked. He did a lot of wickedness. He did wickedness to me too. I won't consider him a friend. He's not my friend. But we do just come back and haunt you. I think I read somewhere there along they said the evil that men do lives after them.
Yes, my brother. Let me continue. Because as I've said, he has a colorful history. I remember, again, on the East Coast, several things where people said that we got to know Brutus to be a very vindictive and spiteful person. That was the allegation. Those are allegations. And one of the matters that caught our attention, Mr. Conway will remember that because he's the man who brought it to the attention of the commission. We were considering promotions. And as I indicated before in this program, I don't think there's ever been a police service commission that was as thorough in going through recommendations for promotions as we did. Everything we would check. Post is promoted, why is promoted. If a post is not promoted, you have to tell us why, especially the post is senior, why he is being superseded. And there was this one sergeant on the East Coast who was relatively senior, and he was being superseded. And then Mr. Conway, I don't know if you remember that, went into the file and drew to our attention that the reason why this man was being overlooked for promotion is because you say he had a recent disciplinary conviction, neglected duty. And when we examined that file of that sergeant who was being denied promotion, only to discover that he was being cowboyed by Brutus. So now that the tribal union cowboying is calmer. And let me tell you what happened. An allegation was made against the sergeant that he neglected his duty. He was charged with neglected duty. The matter was investigated by the Office of Professional Responsibility. The sergeant was charged. Now, at the hearing, which was conducted by one of the junior officers on the East Coast, Coven John, the virtual complainant, that's the person who made the report against the sergeant, did not turn up. So they had no evidence against him, right? And the young officer, well, the sergeant, the defaulter, made an okay submission, which was upheld by the young officer who conducted the inquiry. The officers then sent it to the commander, who was Brutus, because in the police arrangement with the Disciplinary Act, the commander is the disciplinary authority. He can award punishment up to certain levels and so on. Despite the fact that there was no evidence against this sergeant, Brutus found him guilty and fined him 1 day's pay, and that thing went into his record as a conviction. When we saw that, we were appalled. How can this be? There's absolutely no evidence. The virtual complainant did not turn up. The inquiring officer rightly recommended that the matter should be dismissed. But this all-powerful commander, going against all the evidence, decided to convict the sergeant and to fine him 1 day's pay. And I'm saying this to emphasize the point that it was because of that this sergeant wasn't recommended for promotion. Because of that. Right? So let me understand. That's one. I don't call the sergeant name because I know he's still in the work and so on. Then you had, who can forget the matter with the police credit the police association. Conway know it better than I do. Let me bring in Mr. Conway to explain to you what happened with the meeting of the police association that API had ordered. See, you know the thing. Tell the students.
All right, let me give background. We were coming on to the last year of our appointment as members of the Police Service Commission. And because of our excellent work done, word got out that the then police association would have recommended us for a second term. It got out to the politician. By then, we, spearheaded by Paul, had defied the president who wanted some people to be promoted, including Brutus too. And we said, no. They get disciplinary matters and other things, and we're not going to promote them. So what happened? Brutus held an election for the Police Service Commission without the authority of API. Thousands of policemen were disenfranchised. And Brutus served as a returning officer and came up with a present list headed by Tribunal and others. And the idea was that the police association will make a recommendation to Parliament in terms of who should be members of the Police Service Commission. So they had Tribunal and others association. My information is that they were given the names of the current people here. These are the names that we want you to send to Parliament so that they can be members of the police service, and you will be rewarded. That's what I was told. And they were eventually rewarded because all of them were promoted, and Premier moved from inspector to superintendent. Now, after Happy heard about this, Happy got MTH to hold another election. And the election, the same day, re-elected those persons who were there serving. Happy vitiated both elections subsequently, and he was called to Rob Street. He was called to Brickdam. He was called to Carmichael Street. And he said, based on mature thinking, the election that Brutus served as returning officer that elected Premier and others was the valid one. They subsequently sent home MTH. So the thing is that they prepare here that the police association that makes recommendation for members to become members of the Police Service Commission, they install the people who eventually send the recommendations to the Parliament, and those persons were elected as members. They're some of them are still there. And that was the whole thing with the police association, well planned out to get rid of us. So they call election before time, and disenfranchised thousands of policemen who should have participated in terms of having who they want to be selected as their leader as members of the police association. And I can recall that very, very well.
Yeah, well, let me just thanks to that recall. But I remember too, you mentioned MTH. Now, this MTH that Mr. Conway mentioned is a retired deputy superintendent. He was reemployed as the manager. So the second meeting that was held for the police association, Mr. MTH was asked to act as returning officer, and he did so. When Brutus learned of this, Brutus summoned him to his office, calling Soku to arrest MTH because he claimed MTH was beyond the retirement age in the special constabulary of 60, and he had continued to work, and therefore he was drawing monies under false pretenses. This same Brutus, caused MTH to be arrested and dismissed same day. Go home, same day. Wickedness. Who will forget Pastor Patrick Dulachan, who prayed for the police at the opening of the annual officers' conference at the Cultural Center? He prayed, he talked about all the corruption, all the disunity in the police force. Same day, Brutus called and dismissed Dulachan. Brutus called the pastor Dulachan and dismissed him from the force. He had no such authority. This man took onto some power that he never had. Dismissed Dulachan. And is the president, we understand. When he heard about that, he heard the prayer, and he heard nothing wrong with the prayer, and then Dulachan had to be reinstated. Wicked. Wicked. The policemen, especially those in the band, will tell you about the senior superintendent, Charmin Stewart, who was the band leader, reached the age of mandatory retirement at 55 and asked for an extension. I remember seeing that thing, and she was advised, nobody with no extension. Leave the force, get your benefit, and you can be re-employed in the special constabulary. Don't ask for extension. I always advise people that when you reach to the end, take your benefits, take all that you got to get, and be re-employed. You come up with a new contract, re-employed. So you secure your benefits and so on. She was advised to do that. And she decided that that is exactly what she is going to do. She is going to ask for re-employment. We agreed, send the thing to the force today. Well, it came, send it to the force for the comments. Brutus, as the admin man, replied, I would never ever forget that. I was shocked. The man replied to say there's no position in the band for Charmin Stewart. If she wants to come back, she can come back in the force as a sergeant in the rural constabulary. Friends, you're not making these things up. That is what Brutus wrote about Charmin Stewart. And in the meanwhile, they had her there all the time. She retirement date came, they kept her on. She working without pay. That woman died some months after. I'm sure all this was part of it. Without receiving a cent for all the time that she worked. Wicked. I remember too, they got her, it was the end of the year, I think she came out around November, had her the Christmas caroling organized and leading Christmas caroling, Christmas breakfast with President Ali. They had her there dressed in senior superintendent uniform, knowing full well that they had recommended that she mustn't come back to the force, or if she wanted to come back as a sergeant in the rural constabulary. I can't forget these things. I cannot forget these things. Wickedness. And I'll move on now to the other aspect. As we've said, Brutus was encouraged. How did Brutus get to admin? Senior position, one of the most senior positions in the Guyana Police Force are Commissioner of Police, Deputy Commissioner Admin, Deputy Commissioner Operations, CID man at the head, and Special Branch. Those are the senior positions in the force. Senior positions. Brutus, you remember a man named Paul Williams, Deputy Commissioner? When the government changed in August of 2020, they went after Paul Williams. They sent him on leave immediately. Enough leave, 200 and something days leave, they sent him off. And they brought Brutus, who was in Berbice, a senior superintendent, relatively junior man, to sit in that position. He came there to admin on the 16th of August 2020, exactly 2 weeks after the government came into power. They brought him, put him in that position as never before. And we had such a junior person, inexperienced person in that position. Never before. So he went there, and what happened? Folks, y'all sit back and tell y'all some of these things y'all don't believe, right? Now, that was August. In September the 16th to be precise, I had a meeting with President Ali at the office of the president, right? As chairman of the Police Service Commission. Talk about, first of all, I got a thing they buttoned me up, how appreciate the work that I did in 1992 and them. And he was talking about I was OCTSU then, and they had little disturbance in the tongue, and I, with the people from TSU, went out there and brought order into the city in quick time. So he tell me how they appreciate that. And he buttered me up nice. Why he ain't taking the buttering? I listened. Then the question about promotion came. Because remember, I'm telling you, what happened is that when they came into power on the 2nd of August, they put not only Brutus, but other relatively junior people in some senior positions. Then they wanted now them to be promoted. But who got the promotion? The Police Service Commission that I was chairing, right? So he mentioned the promotion of Brutus and others. I told him, I said, Brutus has a disciplinary matter pending, right? And the rule is that once you have disciplinary matter pending, you cannot be considered for promotion. But let me back up to tell you too. Now, and it is relevant to this tribunal or this tribal union. And Brutus knows that if a disciplinary action is to be initiated against you, the very first thing according to Section 5, I think it's 5.1, right? The person has to be served with a breach of discipline notice. Let me pull up the thing to make sure I give you the right section. Section 5.3, right? They say every breach of discipline, every investigation they shall as soon as practicable. It starts off by saying every alleged commission of an offense against discipline under this act shall be investigated as soon as practicable by a member of the force not below the rank of sergeant and of higher rank than the person who is alleged to have committed the offense. So Brutus got a pending matter. We wrote to the minister. The Police Service Commission delegated the authority to a senior police officer to investigate the matter. Listen to me carefully. That is tribal union thing. The authority was delegated to a senior police officer. Now, the senior police officer made attempts to serve him with a breach of discipline notice under the act so that this investigation can commence. He dodged, he run, he ducked, he hid. That was 2020, right? Hide, election duties. Like Ben Barbies, he get election duties, he get that, he can't make himself available for the breach of discipline notice to be served on him. Then after the election duties, it was COVID, isolation. So the investigation couldn't continue. When I met with the president, and I told the president about that, I think it was like within 48 hours, he made himself available to get the breach of discipline notice. Within 48 hours, which tells me that perhaps there was some communication. I don't think it was a coincidence that having told the president that about this investigation, this disciplinary complaint against Brutus, and that he was avoiding service. Not only now he avoids service, he was avoiding service. He made himself available shortly thereafter for the thing. So you got to understand. And what happened? Let me fast forward now to the end of 2020. Very significant period, right? Brutus there, marching over everybody. He want promotion. He got to be promoted. And we heard long before that they were threatening if they did not get promotion, they would go to court, and they would go to court and all that. Several of them had pending disciplinary matters. And what they did, they got a lawyer, Satran, to write to the Police Service Commission, Brutus, Premnarine, and a whole set of them, Stanley, Sting from Borbies, Chevron Jupiter. They all wrote to the Police Service Commission to say that they admitted that they had pending disciplinary matters, and to say that these matters should be concluded before the Police Service Commission consider promotion. Those letters were written on the 17th of December 2020. 17th of December 2020. And then they threatened in the letter that should the Police Service Commission go ahead with promotion, they got to move to court to nullify the promotion. That was on the 17th of December. The Police Service Commission met for the first time on the 23rd of December to create the shortlist. And when we created the shortlist on the 23rd, of course, the people who were at pending disciplinary matters were not included. the very night of the 23rd, I had another conversation with the president. And he asked about the promotion for Brutus and Karimbash. He asked. And I told him, well, sir, as I indicated to you, these people have pending disciplinary matters. Who tell me, sir, the man tear off, or we deliberately delaying? I thought that's not so. I said, in the case of Brutus, Brutus is the one who caused the delay. And I explained to him. I said, in the case of Karimbash had taken the service commission before the court, and the matter was pending before the court. I explained all of that to the president on the night of the 23rd. In the following day, the 24th of December, Christmas Eve day, Robeson Ben, Minister of Home Affairs, communicated with RP, provided a list of names that they wanted charged criminally for varying offenses. Y'all listen to this wickedness, you know. I'm telling y'all, they build Brutus, they get Brutus to take the 24th are going sequentially. And who you think wrote to these people about allegations? Brutus. He write Cooper, Azur, a whole set of people, 20-something people to say that they were being investigated by Soku for all sort of things. They were being investigated by CID. And all of the people, bogus stuff, because since then to now, none of them was ever charged. Bogus. I remember well in the case of Senior Superintendent Azur, the allegation was that he assaulted some foreign diplomat. Imagine them making complaint that a police officer assaulted a foreign diplomat and nothing had happened. No complaint was made by the diplomat. Wickedness. And when that matter, because what happened then, we continued to do our work with the promotion list, notwithstanding all the pressures that were being brought to bear. And I think it was on the 30th or thereabout of December, Brutus and them moved to the court to get an injunction to stop the promotion. He moved and he was joined by these people that I mentioned earlier to stop the promotion. Promotion stopped. Matter going through the court. When the thing came up for us, Nandlal, Attorney General, appeared on behalf of the state and said that he asked the Chief Justice who was hearing the matter for some time to try to reconcile. The thing looked bad, he said, and they wanted to get time to speak to the parties. They wanted to speak to the parties. And what they wanted to do really is for us to cave in, to promote people pending disciplinary matters and all of that. And we stood firm. We said no, that we were not going to do that. So the matter was dragging through the court. And then the Chief Justice said that she's going to make a ruling on the 18th of June, 2021. Folks, these dates, I'm not referring to any notes, you know. These dates are embedded in this computer on the 18th. When we turn up, virtually most of us, she did not make the ruling. She made some comments, and she said she's going to rule on the 28th of June, 2021. And she did rule on that day. She threw out the application by Brutus, and she remarked that she found Senior Superintendent Brutus to be self-serving, among other things. She said so on the 28th of June, 2021. And what happened? The Chief Justice's ruling that this police officer is self-serving. And they kept him there as admin. And what happened then? Right? Because one part I missed, that after they realized that on the 18th of June, that the decision was to be handed down then, and they knew that the decision would have gone against Brutus and others in the favor of the commission. So on the 16th of June, 2021, every member of the commission, all 5 of us, got letters signed by the president to say that we are suspended from the commission with immediate effect. That was on the 16th of June, because they knew that if the decision had been handed down, as it was scheduled to do on the 18th, they would have lost the case, so they didn't want a commission in place when the decision was made. Right? So they're suspended. We challenge it, and they drag through. Then eventually the judge ruled that the president violated the Constitution in suspending the Police Service Commission. The records are there. The judge ruled. So this violation thing is not a one-off and a one-time thing. All of this, everything I'm telling, Brutus is the main, as old people say, the chief cook and bottle washer. He was chief cook and bottle washer in all of this. Let me bring in Mr. Conway. A battle long. Let me bring Mr. Conway. CC, I'm sure you have some things you want to say at this stage.
And there was another issue, you know, where he undermined Happy with the support of the Minister of Home Affairs. They used to hold weekly meetings at the ministry. And after a while, the minister understands, you say, Happy, you can go now. And Happy will leave. And the team led by Brutus will discuss matters, make decisions behind Happy's back. And that's what used to happen. He's undermining, make decisions beyond the back of, without the commissioner's approval, without the commissioner's input. And it used to happen at the Ministry of Affairs. And the most senior man at that meeting there used to be the admin man in the absence of the commissioner. Commissioner, you can go. The rest you will stay back and we'll discuss. And that is what used to happen.
Yeah, you know, a lot of people, there are a lot of things. There are a lot of things that he did wrong. He caused a lot of people to leave the job, to run out the job. He transferring people. I was told of a story where he was driving someplace and a traffic rank was there directing traffic and stopped him. He stopped the traffic that he was in. And apparently he wasn't pleased. By the time he get back to office, the man was called. The man is transferred to the TSU, the traffic man, for doing his job. So there are not many sympathizers. I noted that even the one who has been coming out batting for you, says Soku going after you without any evidence and so on, I have not seen any release from the police in respect to this dismissal, nor have I seen anyone from that thing. None. They ain't got no release. Now let me fast forward now to this story with you. As we have been saying, Brutus held himself up as a demigod. It's a big time thing, transferring people, do all sort of things to people. It is alleged that at the finance office, he changed a whole set of people. All the people who are there, who knew the system, he removed them. Trumped up charges, so many. Some of these charges are still working their way through the court. Trumped up charges for me, Conway, and the standing order team, and all sort of things. Trumped up charges. And the evidence now, or at least they are claiming that all the while this is going on, they're claiming the man along the thief in. That's what they're doing. Sending people on leave. Transferring people here, there, and everywhere. Willy-nilly transfer people. And they are now alleging that while that was going on, that criminal activities were also being perpetrated by him. And I say this. You look at the 261 charges against Brutus. It has gone up to 200. There's no way on God's earth that Brutus could have been doing that all by himself. No way. No way he could have been doing that all by himself. And we're not going to detail. We get almost an hour more. But we have to give this background for you to understand who this person is or was. So what happened? They claim, we know that we learned, he blaming me and Conway, you know. I started blaming me and Conway for all his trouble. I said we started to highlight this $16.5 million that was deposited into the police credit union. Sometime the Brutus deposited $16.5 million. He deposited the money. I get a record, I get a receipt into the credit union. At the time, the person who was in charge wasn't there. When that person came and realized that, no, this transaction can't go, this is wrong, the money was returned to Brutus. They said 2 black plastic bags, $60.5 cash, you know. As in the explanatory note, he said there was gifts before, during, and after his wedding. He got married in 2023. So he said this $16.5 million was deposited, was that. And the slip, or one of the slips, saying that I think $1 million or $1.5 million was for some interest on some loan that he never got. Because the information that he had applied for a loan, a large amount. I didn't get it. But he was paying interest even though he didn't get a loan. That is what the note said. The money was returned to him. Once the money was returned to him, he decided to victimize the people there. move, transfer. I understand it is alleged that shortly thereafter, the extended squatter called those people and berated them over the fact that they did the correct thing. They did not accept this money, which had suspicions of money laundering. They didn't accept it, berated them, transferred them. Some people run out of the place, run out of the work, and all this everything. Can't take the pressure. He brought pressure to bear. The people couldn't take it. Some people left the job. Right? All right. So what happened? He is there, and we keep banging away. We keep banging away. We keep banging away. We kept banging away. Then we learned that he deposited, I think it was $44.4 million into a bank account at one of the commercial banks. And they're saying that that deposit triggered a suspicious transaction report to the Financial Intelligence Unit. Again, he said that this $44.4 million gifts before, during, and after the wedding. Big wedding, man. All them give $44.4 million. Well, of course, he said 2 plus incentives and so on. He got during the Christmas period. And that matter seems to have died away because the commissioner, Ikin, wrote a statement in respect to the same $44.4 million. He wrote that. And it was appear that on the basis of that, this investigation had been discontinued. That one. But we didn't know that there was other investigation going on. Brutus, in the meanwhile, was there, and he got overbearing. I hear big people say, this man want to get rich too quick. You can't rival the rich people and the corrupt ones. And therefore, Brutus said so in the affidavit too. The squatter was told to do some rotation. Brutus was moved, that was in July, I think, to special branch. The man at special branch, Watts, was moved to operations. The man at operations, Budram, was moved to admin. Brutus protested. Brutus then, they claim that Brutus said that he wanted to proceed and leave. Immediately, police cooperate propaganda unit came out with some bullshit statement to say that the rotation was to facilitate development, some nonsense they say. But we pointed it out, said it can be. And we point out too to say, Brutus said asked to go upon and leave. He was sent and leave. Later on, he said he can leave. And then what happened? Then when we were asking how many days leave, he said this man gone on vacation leave. How many days? They weren't answering to that. Then we learned that when he vacation leave, it seems to have been 1 to finish, he was sent on administrative leave. Minister Ben got involved, right there. Brutus say all of these things in pleadings before the court. So what happened? We understand that he attempted to leave the country and was prevented from doing so. Right? Because of this investigation. And then he moved to the High Court to get permission from the court to accompany his pregnant wife, who was charged along with him. Well, they weren't charged then, to accompany his pregnant wife to the US to get treatment. And then that is when for the first time, at least most of us get to understand, that he had, as they say in the filing, 240 pending criminal charges. 240. So he got charged eventually. Remember when SWAT went to home? SWAT team from the police went to Brutus's residence in the police compound. We don't know why they went there, because they never arrested him. They never searched the place, but they went at its quarters there. All of these things are on record. We're just recounting and recapping to refresh your memory. The following day, after that, he went to court. They didn't arrest him, The man turned up in court to answer the charges, fully dressed in uniform. Y'all remember that? Fully dressed in uniform. And I said that was to further embarrass the organization. And maybe to ensure that he wasn't remanded or that he wasn't placed in handcuffs. He turned up to court. Turned up. His wife was also charged, his driver, and some businessman. All them charged. And then after that thing started to roll, he went the next time, more charges and more charges. In the meanwhile now, he started to file all sorts of motions, constitutional and other motions against the government, and all sorts of things he started to do. Then to fast forward now, we learned about 2 weeks ago that the Police Service Commission set up this disciplinary tribunal to inquire into two disciplinary offenses against Brutus. And we explained it in detail, that the tribunal, based on the Constitution, based on the Police Act, that this was unconstitutional, unlawful. And we're going to walk it through again shortly. But just bring it to the point now where they had this tribunal. And you remember Monday, let me show you all this, man. Remember Monday? Those of you who were in class Monday, remember this? I have a short clip to show you. This was Monday. To this tribunal that they set up. First of all, again, I might sound a little contradictory. I agree with Brutus not to participate in that farce of a tribunal. Because, as I've said before, there is only one aim of that tribunal. One, to dismiss Brutus. So regardless whether he participates or not, at the end of the tribunal, or as the sergeant called it, the tribal union, he is going to be dismissed. So very soon we're going to be up to say on this program, former Assistant Commissioner Calvin Brutus. I am convinced that the purpose of that tribal union is to dismiss him. Right? That's the purpose. So let me... Y'all remember that, students? That was only Monday, you know? And since then, people be calling me, they want to borrow me crystal ball. I'm going to tell me this morning that Mr. Obia, man, and that sort of thing. No. Me not Obia, man. Me not Obia, man. I reading the thing, man. I'm reading it. As I've said, the only reason they brought that tribunal together is to dismiss Brutus. And before I begin, Mr. Conway, let me say this. That tribunal worked with breakneck speed. Within 2 weeks, they completed the hearing, made a recommendation to the Police Service Commission, so it says, and the man is dismissed. I know why? Let me tell you why I believe they went with breakneck speed. Because they are fearful that Brutus, I know why they will go to the court to seek to get some injunction to prevent the tribal union from doing anything in respect to those disciplinary charges. So what they do, breakneck speed and dismiss him. Because remember, you can't injunct something that is already done. They have already dismissed him. So his options now, he will have to go to court, which I'm sure he will do, to challenge the lawfulness of the tribunal, to challenge the lawfulness of the Police Service Commission, to challenge the lawfulness of the entire process, which led to his dismissal on the 5th of February, 2025. Mr. Conway, time for you to get a little batin, man. CC, what say you about this tribal union and what I've just commented on?
Well, what I must say is that this thing was conceptualized, I agree with you, designed, developed, and implemented with the sole aim to convict Brutus and get rid of him from the Guyana police force. I repeat, it was conceptualized, designed, developed, and implemented. What they call the tribal union, the tribunal. And we want to make it clear that the Constitution is the supreme law of the land. Jump high, jump low. And any law, any tribunal, anything you're going to set up must fit neatly into the ambit of the Constitution. Even the president is a creature of the Constitution. And the Constitution says, I think it's Article 94, that the president could be removed from office for violation of the Constitution or act of gross misconduct. So we're saying the Constitution is the supreme law, and they form a tribunal, what is the sound said, a tribal union, So perhaps that is the correct name for it. And it was not established within the ambit of the Constitution. No way. They breach the Constitution. And let me give proper context of the Constitution, and more so the Police Service Commission. The Police Service Commission is a creature of the Constitution. Article 211 spells out the composition of members of the Police Service Commission. That the Service Commission must have 5 members. One is the chairman of the Public Service Commission. That's mandatory. Jump high, jump low, whosoever is the chairman of the Public Service Commission would be a member. And 4, based on nomination by group that appear to have the backings of the force, they will make a recommendation to Parliament, and the select committee will reach and nominate persons to the president, and select names to the president, who will select a chairman. I repeat, the bodies will reach, especially like the police association, that one that install at Brutus install, and they send nomination to the National Assembly, where the Security Committee will reach and send the names to the president, and he will elect a chairman from those four names there. He doesn't have to have consultation with anybody. That's the law. So the thing is that the Constitution has to be comprised of 5 members. The chairman and 4, the chairman of the Public Service Commission, and 4 other members based on the nominations that were sent to Parliament. 5. We had a case before where they had 4 members, and the Constitution was performing duties, and based on action, I think by leader of the opposition in the case, the Chief Justice ruled that it was not properly legally and fully constituted. There must be 5 members, and she also ruled that they cannot perform any functions of the Constitution unless it is fully constituted with 5 members. History repeated itself. We had 4 members, or we have 4 members right now. There were 5. My cousin Mark Conway died. Left a vacuum for 4. They left a vacuum for 1. So they have 4 members. And if we follow the ruling of the Chief Justice, the commission cannot perform any functions of the commission unless it is fully constituted and legally constituted. In order to fill that vacancy, you gotta go through the process again. Nomination, normally from the police association or other bodies that have the interests of the majority of members of the force. Nomination to the National Assembly. The select committee will reach, send the name to the president, and hear this one. But before that person is appointed, the president has to get meaningful consultation with the leader of the opposition. So in its present state, this Police Service Commission cannot function. There must be 5 members. And when I get 5 members to form a quorum, you get the chairman and 2 other members. So the body that they form to investigate Brutus is illegal because they cannot perform any functions of the commission unless it is fully constituted, unless they get 5 members. Therefore, the tribunal is illegal, it is unconstitutional. And later on, as we go on, we will discuss where the powers to appoint persons to inquire into this matter, where the powers comes from.
Right. All right. You got that clear, that the Police Service Commission, we're saying, as presently constituted, is not lawful because they don't have the 5 members that is required. What they have 4, and they have not sought to fill the vacancy. But my lawyer from Canada is saying what I believe in, what they're going to do is that they're going to do all of these illegal acts. And then they're going to use again the de facto doctrine, as was used by the Chief Justice when she ruled in that matter that Mr. Conway referenced, to save all the illegal acts, to make them legal. So including the dismissal of Brutus, including the dismissal of Brutus. So whenever they challenge that it go to court, the de facto doctrine is going to be used again. Let me wait and see. That is what the crystal ball is saying, that is going to be used. So this tribal union was put together. And as we said from the beginning, it is wrong because the Police Service Commission is not fully and lawfully constituted, so they have no authority to appoint any tribal union or tribunal, whatever you want to call it. They have no such authority. Now, before I go further, let me say this, because people have asked me the question. Some of you say, well, Brutus is the first senior police officer to be dismissed. Not so. I can recall back in the day, when I was a young policeman then, I can recall at least 2 senior officers were dismissed, but not following any tribunal. They were arbitrarily dismissed, and they challenged in court, and they won. I'm referring to Assistant Commissioner Cyril Bullers, who was in charge of Borby's B Division, and Assistant Commissioner Hilton Cummins, who was also in charge of Borby's, and they were both dismissed. They moved to court, and they went to court because they said natural justice, they wasn't provided with natural justice a chance to be heard. They were just arbitrarily dismissed. And the court ruled in their favor. Back in the day then, there was also one other officer, John Seeley, I think it was. He was a senior superintendent. I think he too was dismissed under similar circumstances, similar meaning, without giving me an opportunity to be heard. Because they used to use this thing then, what they call public interest. Public interest. You're dismissing the public interest. But the courts have ruled that is unconstitutional. Natural justice must prevail. If an allegation is made against a person, then the person must get a chance to represent himself. And apparently the squatter know that, because he has been using the same public interest to dismiss people without giving them a chance to be heard. I always like to reference 2022, 5th of July, when those ranks went to answer various charges in relation to this Quindon Bacchus murder. One man for murder, Damian McKinnon, who was not even on the scene for some strange offense, and Simon. On the same day they appeared in court, on the 5th of July, I think it was, 2022, the squatter dismissed them. Public interest dismissed them. When the courts have repeatedly ruled that you can't do that. So it's not only, it's a violation of the Constitution, and every now and again, you hear the Attorney General will call the policemen doing that, and the state got to pay, and the state got to pay. But they are doing nothing to the people who are violating the Constitution, including the president. And now we have this Police Service Commission. Well, riddle me this. Do you believe that the current Police Service Commission sat down by themselves at some meeting and decided that they're going to put together this tribunal and decided on who the members of the tribunal will be. You believe they sit down at a commission in that boardroom where I frequented when I was the chairman. They sat there and they made a decision? No, they were instructed. My crystal ball say that they were instructed to put together this tribunal. And as I've said in the short clip, the sole purpose of the tribunal was to dismiss Brutus, and they have carried out the task. The labor time, within 2 weeks, done with it. Bye-bye, Felicia. Bye-bye, Felicia. And hey, this here, as a cricket fan, she's a cricket fan. Once they raise the finger, the umpire raise the finger, of course you're going to get review. But it's not an immediate DRS. Not immediate. Somewhere down the road. Because I can see this going all the way to the Caribbean Court of Justice, the CCJ. I can see it going all the way there. All the way. Yeah, Gabo, I mentioned John Seeley being dismissed. Right, so all the way I can see this going to the tribal union. But at the end of the day, seeing this going to the CCJ, but at the end of the day, they would have fulfilled their task. And talk about the tribunal, look at the composition that we see. How can this be fair? And again, this is not about Brutus. It's about the rule of law. It's about respect to the Constitution. They put together a tribunal to inquire into disciplinary offenses against Brutus. The tribunal comprised the acting or the Assistant Solicitor General, Shoshona Lal, I think is the name, retired Commissioner Silal Prasad, both of whom we understand work at the Attorney General's chamber. Of course, the Assistant Solicitor General come under the AG. And if you recall the matter that I referenced earlier, where Brutus went to court seeking permission to leave, and then they opposed it, and it was revealed that he has 240 criminal charges pending. It is reported that the person who represented the state then is the same Shoshona Lal, same Lal represented the state and pointed out that Brutus has 240 criminal matters pending. So how can this be a fair tribunal? Apart from everything else, apart from all the other illegalities, how can that be? It is said that Silal Prasad works at the at some contract or some arrangement with the same Ministry of Legal Affairs. So how can they sit and be impartial adjudicators in a matter against the same Brutus? How can they? As I've said, it's not representing Brutus. This is bringing facts to bear. So the tribunal was set up, labor time, and significantly, because I'm going to go through, let me go through it. What somebody asked me? So, one said the number of people work for me. Wait, let me say this. Yesterday, the Police Service Commission issued a release, a press release. And I'm going to go through part of it. I think we'll get time to go through the entire thing. Go through part of it and dissect. February 5th, a press release, February the 5th, 2025. Today, the Police Service Commission, having considered a report of a tribunal appointed by the Police Service Commission and based upon recommendations of that tribunal, dismissed Mr. Calvin Brutus, Assistant Commissioner of Police from the Guyana Police Force. That is what it started out by saying. It goes on to say the tribunal was appointed by the Police Service Commission pursuant to Article 212.6 of the Constitution of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana and Section 615 of the Police Discipline Act, Chapter 1701. In accordance with the terms of reference, the tribunal was required to inquire into and report on allegations of offenses against discipline, breaches of discipline, and discreditable conduct allegedly committed by Calvin Brutus, Assistant Commissioner of Police, while performing the duties of Deputy Commissioner of Police Administration in the Guyana Police Force during the period August 2020 and July 2024. The tribunal comprised Mr. Shoshona V. Lal as chairman, and Mr. Keoma D. Griffith, and Mr. Silal Prasad as members. In particular, the tribunal was tasked to inquire into the following disciplinary offenses allegedly committed by Mr. Brutus while performing the functions of Deputy Commissioner Administration, contrary to Section 4Z of the Police Discipline Act, Chapter 17:01. And then the first statement of offenses, conduct to the prejudice of good order, or undisciplined, contrary to Section 4Z of the Police Discipline Act, Chapter 1701. And what are the particulars? Particulars say that the defaulter, who is Calvin Brutus, on the 11th of January 2024, gave instructions for payment of goods procured by the government of Guyana for the Guyana Police Force in the sum of $13,670,204 to be made from the Guyana Police Force Central Welfare Fund in violation of Standing Order 36 of the Guyana Police Force, Standing Order 36 of the Guyana Police Force. Now let me stop right there. Let me stop right there and then. They're saying that according to the first disciplinary charge under Section 4Z, that he gave instructions, right? He gave instructions for payment of goods procured by the government for the Guyana Police Force in the sum of $13,607,000. To whom these instructions were given? I would assume that the instruction would have been given to the police finance officer, Bharat Prasad. So I'm saying this is the assistant commissioner performing the functions of deputy commissioner administration. He's giving, Prasad, I think, is a superintendent. He's giving one of his subordinates, a superintendent in charge of the police finance office. This is not an ordinary subordinate. This is a branch commander. He's in charge of the police finance office. Based on what they're saying, he's giving him an illegal instruction to take money out of the police central welfare fund to pay for items ordered by the government. What they say here is that my understanding is that the money was paid to Brutus company or some company associated with himself or his family. Then said in this thing. So I am saying now that if, as they are alleging in this statement of particles of offense, that Brutus gave Bharat Prasad, the finance officer, these instructions, did Bharat Prasad not know that these instructions were contrary to the standing order? Did he not know that you cannot be compelled to carry out an unlawful order? Did he report this matter to the commissioner of police? Look, the deputy commissioner administration telling me, sir, to make a check out for $30,670,204 from the Central Welfare Fund. Sir, this is not right. This is not what the regulation said. This is not what the standing order said. Did he do that? So again, I say, how come it's only Brutus alone? Did Bharat Prasad, the finance officer, bring to the attention of Brutus in the first instance, sorry, I can't draw this check from this police central welfare fund. That's not the purpose of the fund. And then, all right, Brutus bully me. I am giving you an instruction. Sorry, the instructions is unlawful. And I cannot be compelled to carry out an unlawful instruction. So at this stage, I think I'd have to report to the commissioner, let him know that you are giving me this unlawful instruction. Did he do that? Did he do that? So if he did not do that, then he's complicit in this whole thing or totally negligent. And that is why I continue to say that Brutus could not have been alone in it's their allegation, This is what they are alleging. Now, before I go on to the other offense, let me bring in Mr. Conway to obviously say on that part of it. See, your take on this, my friend.
All right. Before I go into that part of it, let me put things in a real context, Now, the Police Service Commission is responsible for appointments, disciplinary control, and removal from office. Article 212(1). And 212(2) gives the Police Service Commission the authority to delegate disciplinary procedures to the commissioner or other members of the force. Let me read 212(1). Subject to provision of Article 211(1), the power to make appointments to any office in the police force of or above the rank of inspector, the power to exercise disciplinary control over persons holding or acting in such office, and the power to remove such person from office shall vest in the Police Service Commission. So it's clear they're talking about powers for appointment, display control, and removal from office. Now this is talking about delegation of some of that authority. The 212.2. The Police Service Commission may, by direction in writing, subject to such conditions as the things fit, delegate any of the powers under this proceedings paragraph to any one or more members of the commission or to the commissioner of police, or in the case of power or exercise disciplinary control, to any other member of the Ghana police force. So in terms of disciplinary control, any one or more of the members of the commission, the commissioner of police, or in the case of powers, any other members of the force. It didn't talk about civilian, eh? It talked about members of the force, the commissioner or other members of the force in terms of disciplinary control. So I know where they get the authority from. And I've been trying to find a precedent. I've been trying to find out when last date, or if they ever had a tribunal to deal with disciplinary matters. And I can't recall any at all. I can't recall any at all with that tribunal to deal with disciplinary matters. So that tribunal didn't fall under 212.2, and 212.2 is where the powers to delegate lies, and nowhere else. But getting back to instructions to the finance officer to prepare money for payment, you're right. If the thing is illegal, the finance office or anybody is not bound to obey it. If it's illegal, it is illegal. Always remember the Nuremberg Tribunal, where they say even a general gave private soldier an order and it is illegally bound to obey it. And if they're giving you an order that is illegal, you are not bound to obey it. You are not bound to obey it. Then, as the mind says, fraud is fraud. Fraud is fraud. So the police finance officer will find himself if they really follow the law in some serious problems, because he got an illegal order and he comply with it. I didn't hear that he complained to nobody, they commission anybody, and he comes. So if as long as it's illegal, the bottom line is that you're not bound to obey it.
Yeah, let me say this in response to a few comments. First of all, I've been reminded here by some of the students. You know, we got brilliant students in this class. That Superintendent Colin Johnson was also at some stage dismissed by the Police Service Commission. We also have Borsell Brung was dismissed, and also Donald Pearson. He too was dismissed. But the circumstances were different. As we were saying, they were arbitrarily dismissed. There was no tribunal or no commission. And then Selvin is saying here, they kind of had one with the slow inquiry. But that was different because that was a commission of inquiry appointed under instrument from the president. Instrument from the president. I was appointed to inquire into that assassination plot against the president. So that was totally legal. There was no question about that. That came under the Commission of Inquiry Act, where instrument was given to me. I had to go to the magistrate and be sworn in so that I can administer oath and all of that. But this is kangaroo stuff, Selvin. This here, we talking about now, this is kangaroo stuff. But let me continue the allegations against Brutus, what this commission, this kangaroo thing said. Now, the second offense is saying again, same section 4Z of the Police Discipline Act, 17:01, and the particular, before I go there, let me say this. Given what is revealed in this report from the Police Service Commission, from the Tribunal to the Police Service Commission, the Police Service Commission to members of the public, Is Barack Prasad still the police finance officer? Because it clearly shows that he's not qualified to be there. Because if he sits there and somebody tell you to do something illegal, draw a check for 13 point something million dollars out of the Police Central Welfare Fund, from all appearances, he did not bring it to the person's attention that it was unlawful to do so. Neither did he bring it to the commissioner's attention that, look, this officer, the senior officer, bullying me to do something that's illegal. And therefore, I am saying that he's unfit to remain there. But, they got this Indianization of the command structure, so I suspect they're going to keep him there. But by his own action or inaction, he has rendered himself unfit to be the police finance officer. That's what the report is saying. Not Falslow, not Clinton Conway. Because the report is saying that Brutus directed or ordered him to draw a check or checks, whatever they think, to 13 point something million dollars from the Police Central Welfare Fund for pay for items acquired by the government. And they're saying it's in breach of the standing order. So how come he's not dealt with? How come he's not removed from that position? He has clearly shown that he's not fit to be the finance officer. So over to the squatter. Well, I guess the squatter has to await instructions from somewhere in Ralph Street or Brickdam or Carmichael Street. He's not his own man. But here was the second offense now. Particular offense, Calvin Brutus during the month of December 2023 caused records at the quartermaster stores of the Ghana Police Force to be falsified, purporting to show that goods in the value of $101,431,050 were delivered by Corwin Nicholson, trading as 3D construction to the Ghana Police Force, knowing same to be false. Again, I ask the question. They say cause records to be falsified. But the people know that this is wrong, that you cannot be compelled to do falsification of a record is an illegal act. So what happened to them? What happened to these people? Are they still in these positions? What happened to the man who is in charge of the police force? How can all of this skullduggery be going on under him and he is not held accountable, at least vicariously? Man, this thing is mind-boggling, The corruption, the stench of this corruption. As Brutus said, he's not going to be the poster boy of corruption in the force, I think he said, or the country. And he should not be. And that is why I say to you, Calvin, call your first name now by, I say to you, Calvin, it is time you let us know all that you claim to know. It is time. Barat Jagdeo said, you can let cat, dog, pig, and everything out of the bag. So maybe this is the time for you to cut that record, man. Cut that record. Motang, Stack, one of those reputable record company. Long ago, you had Vivian Lee and Alagala and all them were record labels in Guyana. Cut the record. Let's air all that transpires. I know that you know enough. I know that you know a lot. So it's time you let us know. Because let me tell you something. Calvin Brutus, former Assistant Commissioner of Police. And I know in terms of your status as an attorney, if you just get dismissed from the police force, I don't know how the Bar Association operates, whether they're going to still keep you on record as a member of the bar. I don't know. So you have got to decide where you're going next. Because I would think that a man with 261 criminal charges, even though there's a presumption of innocence, and just get dismissed from the police force for corrupt act, that the liars, well, shouldn't say the liars, because we will tell you that I get a lot of corrupt liars who will welcome me in their midst. But I think the association will want to do something about that. Something. But let me, let me tell you this, Mr. Brutus. And folks, this is another crystal ball. Make a note. So that later on when it happens, y'all can remember, slow crystal ball says so. The crystal ball, the only thing wrong with this crystal ball, since I'm reading it, if you all recall, is that I said on the 19th of, I think it was on the 19th of January, the day before the inauguration of President Trump, I say something had happened, for that inauguration, before he was to be sentenced sometime in January, and the crystal ball had said that he was going to move and he would not have been sentenced. That was wrong. It came close, but it wasn't accurate. That's the only inaccuracy of this crystal ball. And this crystal ball is telling me that of the 261 charges Brutus has, 261, is that the most worrying for Brutus ought to be the money laundering charges. Right? Forget about the what they call something of officers, liability of officer. I don't believe they're going anyway. There are some charges, especially the money laundering charge, where I have a strong suspicion the crystal ball is saying that you're going to get lashed on at least one. You are going to be convicted on at least one. And you should know, as an attorney, I know attorney, but you should know that once they convict you on at least one of those money laundering charges, the next stage is asset forfeiture. In other words, to take away all that you would have acquired. You have got to decide. To take away all that. Let me repeat. Of course, it's going to be on YouTube. You can always go and play back this part. My crystal ball is saying that of the 260 many charges that you have, all they want to do is to get you on one of the money laundering charges. One. They don't want not more one. And once they get you on the money laundering charge, then the next stage in the process is application for asset forfeiture. In other words, to take away all the property that they claim that you acquired through this unlawful money laundering means. I tell you that I was about to say I tell you as a friend, but me and you know friend. But telling that as a citizen who, even though he's facing these many charges, the Constitution affords you the presumption of innocence. Constitution affords you that. But let me move. So we're saying that all of these things with the quartermaster store, how come this man alone? How come this man standing alone for all of these things? Yeah. How come? Well, Michael, yeah, the people at the bank, I don't know how they allow all of this. A 2-year-old get 2 accounts with over how many million, 13 million or 40 million, something like that. And they tell what, and Jack Dio tell you what they think the system work. The system would work. Because if the system had worked very early, red flags would have gone up. It's because of Slow and Conway up hammering at them. Then they decide that they're going to get this quarter for right statement. Say he collect $8.5 million from a businessman to finance Brutus' wedding. And that alone should have ensured that even if they charge you for misconduct in public office, they should have said he pack him. But your time coming. Your time coming. Y'all do me and other people that are wrong, and we praying. And our prayers are being answered. God is in charge. And I understand that you get some religious leanings. You ought to know what I mean. But I say God is in charge. Nothing goes unpaid in this life. All the wickedness that y'all are doing, gonna catch up with y'all. Brutus is the front runner. He got to front. But the race seems to be a marathon. So though I do run to front, even though you run to front at a blistering pace with 261. Watch what happening to some of them as we go on. Now this thing say, they tell about the seat of the tribunal. The seat of the tribunal, where it conducted the inquiry hearings, was 95 Middle Street, Georgetown. I don't know what is the significance of that. Mr. Brutus was served with notice of the proceedings and attendant documents, including a breach of discipline notice, notifying him of the proceedings, disciplinary charge sheet, and witness statement of intended witnesses. He was also served with a letter from the Police Service Commission informing him of the date, time, and place of the hearing. By these documents, Mr. Brutus was explicitly informed of the right to represent himself or be represented by counsel or a representative of his choice before the tribunal. Let me deal with that part now. Let me deal with that part. The Police Discipline Act, which I read to you, is clear about this notice with the served police. It is clear that they're saying that this investigation had already commenced when they served notice. Wrong. You have to serve the notice first. And they serve charge sheet. Who served this charge sheet? Who? There was police that could serve charge sheet. The law says who can serve the charge sheet. The same Police Discipline Act. And I said before on another program, and I'm repeating it here for emphasis, that you can't use the Police Discipline Act to find an offense, conduct to the prejudice of good order and discipline, contrary to Section 4Z, and then ignore the other part of the act which deals with the investigation, which deal with how an inquiry should be conducted. To tell Brutus, as you're claiming here, that he can bring a lawyer, the Police Act specifically prohibits that. It says that you can have another member of the force to assist you with your defense. Here under or hereafter referred to as a friend of the defaulter. We have said defaulter friend, but the law says a friend of the defaulter. And they specify the rank of the friend of the defaulter. In the case of Brutus, who is an assistant commissioner, only another assistant commissioner can represent him. Only another assistant commissioner. Nobody else can represent in the force. And I was a little shocked to hear when Watts was speaking to the sergeant, and the sergeant was speaking to Watts, and the sergeant said that she wanted to consult with her lawyer before going to this tribal union or to answer any question. Brutus tell her, not Brutus, sorry, Watts told her that the Police Discipline Act doesn't provide for lawyer. So he didn't tell the commission and he didn't tell this tribal union that. Did he not tell them that? But no, yeah. So that's what they said. And then they go on to say, despite all of this, when the inquiry commenced on the 22nd, 2025, there was no appearance by Brutus. And he submitted a medical certificate, which was promptly rejoined as the evidence established that Mr. Brutus misled the doctor. Now let me deal with the part before I bring Mr. Conway. They are saying the evidence, right, show that Mr. Brutus, evidence established that Mr. Brutus misled the doctor who granted him 14 days sick leave. What evidence? What evidence? Did the patient Brutus not complain to the doctor what the problem was? My belly hurting me, my knee hurting me, me get a headache or something like that. Having listened to the complaint, what did he do to satisfy himself that the complaint was genuine? And what did he do to just recommend sick leave? He didn't recommend no medication and so on. He too should be sent packing. This medical doctor. Well, having said that, I got to make sure that if me not me, we can't go to Georgetown Public Hospital or wherever this doctor there. Because they can do me a waddle. You know the story in Waddle? It is alleged that when Waddle was shot out at his residence, a certain man called the man who was the minister and said, hey, this man go in there, he shot, yeah, make sure that no doctor revive him. So now that I'm saying that this doctor should send packing, I got to make sure that I ain't going wherever this doctor there for no reason at all. I would say and take little Senapad, and take little aspirin and little juice, liver salt and all them everything. That's what I got to do. Because I know that there's a way that's going on. But I'm telling them, I've said over and over, I'm not afraid to die. I'm saying the fear of dying is one of the most irrational things. Because you know that you have to die. We all have to. And when the big man wants us to go, when God says it's time, then it is time. You can't run and hide from that. So I'm frightened them. They're sat on the East Coast and they're planning for turn slow into next the boy that was shot at Pygmy and so on. So I ain't frightened. I am not afraid, right? That mean I can walk in the middle of the road when I see them truck coming. I ain't gonna do that. So let me say this and then it goes on. Let me bring in Mr. Conway, man. I think, Mr. Conway, what are your views on this whole thing with this doctor and the charge sheet with the quartermaster stores and all of that?
Well, just like the finance office, same drill with the quartermaster store. Who falsify the account? They ain't have answer. And if it's illegal, they're not bound to obey it. But the doctor, I don't know, if he examine a man and based on his examination, he write out a medical story, how he could swing wrong now? I don't know, something is wrong somewhere. But then if you're going to charge under the Police Dismissal Act, and then I wonder whether the law of double jeopardy doesn't come into play. Because Brutus is in before the court on criminal charges for the same offenses, the same things, but criminally. And then if you're going to charge under the Police Discipline Act, it is clear, section 5.1. It said, every alleged commission of an offense against discipline on this act shall be investigated as soon as practicable by a member of the force not below the rank of a sergeant and of a higher rank than a member of the force who is alleged to have committed the offense. Brutus is was an assistant commissioner then, and the only persons who could think deputy commissioners. They got 5 deputy commissioners. So I wonder who prepared the notice, who signed the notice, where the tribunal was served with notice and was provided with notice and charge sheet. If you're investigating, you have to serve the man with a notice, and then afterwards, if there's evidence for charge, then they get charge sheet. It is clear that it got to be a rank superior to those, and Silal Pusad and them, they're not police. This act talking about police, it ain't talking about civilian. It ain't talking about civilian, so I know where really they get the authority to. And then they're talking about summons. And let me get on with it. Where the process of serving summons, I saw, and I jump in the gun a little bit, but as a depth of my mind, I saw what's in a video at what appeared to be Brutus residence, put in a brown envelope by the girl work there, and then videoing it. So that is the evidence he gave that he served Brutus with notice, or he served Brutus with charge sheet, or he served Brutus with documents. Serving notices or serving summons has got to be personal, or you leave it with some at his last and most usual place of abode, with someone big, some relative or somebody of some adult person, and you read and you explain the document to them, and he requested an early delivery. Was that done? I don't know. When you see a deputy commissioner posting up thing there, but by my man gate, my man door, and then he go in an inquiry, and illegal inquiry, and say that it is personal service. No way. You got to serve it personally in the person, or you leave it with somebody of discretionate age, having read and explained the nature of the document and requested the. And for you to go to a trial, ex parte trial, you got to be certain that the document was properly served. I don't know was properly served. I always remember when I served a summons on a man, I left it with his wife, and he didn't attend court, and the master that wanted to do ex parte trial, and I went into the box and give evidence, left it with the wife, I give the name and so on, and read and explained the document, requested our delivery. And I always remember the magistrate, very good gentleman, Oslin Small. He later became a judge. I think he was judge advocate for the GDF, and he turned a pastor later on. And he asked me a simple question: Constable Conway, from the time you served that you left it with his wife to now, did you check back to see whether he received it? I said, no, Your Honor. He said, well, I'm convinced that it wasn't properly served. So the thing is that, in terms of serving documents, you don't left things but people house grade and them kind of thing, and then you might go in back and say that the thing. And then even as a deponent thing, those persons who the members of the inquiry, were they sworn? Did they go in front of the magistrate and swear so that they could administer oath? Did they? Or later on they might say they had a secret swearing in, like how they swear in Johnny Jagan, and the commissioner then say that he was part of it. Maybe they confirm squatter and say yes, he witnessed the swearing in. The thing is that this whole thing is a joke, and there's so much of blunder, so much of error, so much of irregularities that took place there, that you wonder, well, the whole thing was designed to just convict convict. And I remember, and they refer to him as a defaulter to convict the defaulter. So you're going under the police inspector, you're talking about defaulter. You're talking about accuser or defendant. You're talking about defaulter. And the act is clear that the investigating officer got to be of a higher rank than the rank who's alleged to have committed the offense. And if you're charging on the Police Act, you have to follow all the procedure set out in the Police Disciplinary Act, Paul.
Yeah, they're using sections of the act conveniently. And you made a very interesting point. Let me read part of the release here. It says a total of 21 witnesses, including the Commissioner of Police, gave evidence before the tribunal between the 22nd of January and the 3rd of February, right? So here what they're telling me, tell you how breakneck speed, these people work overtime. The evidence was given by 21 witnesses between the 22nd of January and the 3rd of February. 3rd of February and on the 5th of February, dismissed. That is breakneck speed. That is breakneck speed. Tell you about this kangaroo court. This kangaroo court. And they say all witnesses who testified before the tribunal to the 2 disciplinary charges against Mr. Brutus are serving members of the Guyana Police Force. The report disclosed that all relevant due process was observed in relation to the conduct of inquiry. Nonsense, what due process was observed. But let me tell you what is one of the problems that they have. Because the question was asked of me, what happens if a defaulter refuses or fails to attend a disciplinary inquiry? Very good question. What happens? Now, let me tell you what usually happens. There is provision under the Police Discipline Act, I think it's section 8 or 10. Let me pull it up to make sure I give you the right section, because I know a lot of people just follow this thing and they just go. Right, section 8 of the Police Discipline Act. Hear what it says. Hear what it says. I know a lot of police listening. Any member of the force who has been charged with an offense against discipline may, pending the determination of the inquiry into the charge, including the determination of an appeal, be interdicted from duty. So normally what happens, that if a rank is charged with a disciplinary offense, and as in this case, the rank is not making himself or herself available for the inquiry, then you interdict that person from duty, pending the outcome of the disciplinary charge, which is totally different from the interdiction, pending the outcome of a criminal charge. So you interdict the person pending the outcome of the disciplinary charge. Most times, because the person is interdicted from duty, pending the outcome of the disciplinary charge, there is a sudden time to come to the charge. Because remember, when you interdict, it's half pay and all these type of things. So they can come and the matter is likely to be concluded. I know too that if the person continues to refuse to come, normally what is happening, they just refuse to come, they send in sick leave. Every time they come, like what Brutus does, you say you jam, you send in a 7-day, and then trial coming up again, book, you send in some more and so on. So you're interdicted and placed in half pay. And that has a sobering effect where the person will now report to have the inquiry concluded. But if they still do not come, then you tell when you're going to put up a report and recommend that in the circumstances that the commissioner can seek to take some form of action to have this person dismissed from the force. Because you can't have a person, especially a serious breach, who decide they're not coming. And I'm not talking specifically about this because it's a kangaroo code. This code has no legality as far as I'm concerned. But I'm talking about the normal disciplinary inquiry where the legality of the inquiry is not questioned. So you interdict them. But in this case, Brutus charged criminally since October, I think. And they are saying in an earlier report that after when this commission, when this tribal union started in January of 2025, that he had not been interdicted, he is on administrative leave. That's what they're saying. Now, we are almost out of time. Let me say this to you. I saw some document from the same police office commission, I think it's the same release, no, some other release, which says that the commissioner of police was mandated more or less to make sure Brutus hands in all government property issued to him. So they're going to get in all the property. Like you get forced firearm. I know what property you get for the government. I suspect that that now you got to move out the house if he hadn't moved out yet. The question was asked about the house that he gave to his mother-in-law in the Mountain Branch compound, if she still lives there. But Brutus, all your power gone by former Assistant Commissioner Calvin Brutus. You like all of us now. Former, except that you came out dishonorably. Came out dishonorably. You know, they got one from Germany, the Volkswagen company. They said Paul Slow is a disgraced former assistant commissioner who is bitter. Remember that thing, students? A German from the Volkswagen company, the old-time Volkswagen with the engine in the back, said Paul Slow is a disgraced former assistant commissioner who is bitter. I have to make the point that he never tastes me. He, she, it never tastes me. Can't know if you're bitter. Right? I make the point. So Brutus now, what are you going to say? Disgraced former assistant commissioner. Embattled, they used to say embattled former assistant commissioner Calvin Brutus. Now he's a embattled, disgraced, or a disgraced, embattled former assistant commissioner. Everyone man tell me today, and I ain't lying, saw a police today. And the police tell me, sir, they was always give me the respect that Calvin, sir. So they live by the road waiting for Brutus. They live traffic by waiting for Brutus. Since he committed any violation, so they got clap it for him. Because enough of them he wrong. And they're sitting back patiently. They're waiting to see jump some traffic light or cross some solid line for clap a lash for the. And this is not ticket. Them might say them offenses when he come to you are arrestable offenses. So a man told me today, I'm not respond. I don't think it is right. But you know, when you wrong people and you hurt people and so on, you got to take what you get coming. Whatever coming to you, you got to take. And I suspect, I listen to the cuss out this afternoon. I don't listen to it, but I guess we can get snippets over the night and tomorrow. I hope that the newsman, Tanti Moore, would have addressed this dismissal of Calvin Brutus. The vice president had said, and I get the tape somewhere, when they talk about the thing, if they believe that something says they believe that PPP can cover, they don't know the PPP. Hey, Brutus, you didn't know the PPP. They're coming for you viciously. Viciously. They're coming, I used to say, a former police, Ulrich can say he bought like 10 kuras in a bag. They're coming to you like 10 kuras in a bag, viciously. Viciously. That is what can happen to you now. And you don't get many sympathizers, you know. But I say to you, it's too late for you to reach out to Wawan people. And I can't tell you, mea culpa. Not too late. Not too big. You're too big for say to people, look, I'm sorry. I did you wrong in the heat of the moment, wherever. You know the people you're wrong, you should reach out to them because you have a life to live. You're still young. You're still young. Though you're born 1980, I think, you're still young. Right? You have a life ahead of you. But a life with a lot of pitfalls ahead. Lot of pitfalls. More than that, you have, well, at least one child. And by now, your wife's supposed to be getting another child for you. It's them you got to think about now. Them you have to think about. Right? Them. You have to try and repent. Perhaps you got to do like some people now, go to church. Give some of that illegal and ill-gotten gains. Them pass 10K, you know. I know some of them got vexed with them pass 10K. As you go to the church and the collection bowl pass from there and you put something inside, they will ask you where you get it from. They don't care where you get it from. If you got a little building fund or some repair fund and you make a contribution, they're going to ask. So maybe it is time for you to do that type of thing. Folks, you got to give y'all therapy before I leave, man. Because today, you would have had, I hope they address this scandal with Brutus being dismissed. I hope they address to the big housing scandal that is now brewing. Said man buy a property for $925,000 US, and then they said another property and all sort of thing. So I hope that he addressed those today. Well, you gotta get your little thing before we leave.
Sit there
man.
and fabricate that. Unless you say who the person is, I can't comment on anonymous people.
Okay, well, let's talk about specific individuals. What is your relationship with Mr. Sujurong?
So my relationship? Nothing. He's a tenant in my place, yeah.
And he's a good friend of yours?
Yes, he is a friend of ours.
He claims
that never ceases to amuse me, man. And then this one, I'm gonna end with this study now. This tribunal that they set up. First of all, again, I might sound a little contradictory. I agree with Brutus not to participate in that farce of a tribunal. Because, as I've said before, there is only one aim of that tribunal. One, for dismiss Brutus. So regardless whether he participate or not, at the end of the tribunal, or as the sergeant call it, the tribal union, he is going to be dismissed. So very soon we're going to be up to say on this program, former Assistant Commissioner Calvin Brutus. I am convinced that the purpose of that tribal union is to dismiss him. Right? That's the purpose. So let me... crystal ball. And for all of you asking you want the crystal ball, somebody said Valentine coming up and they want a crystal ball. You could get a crystal ball, but you're getting me crystal ball. You could get a crystal ball, but not my crystal ball. My crystal ball has to remain protected in my custody. Folks, we have had a good afternoon. The attendance was amazing. For Thursday afternoon, an unscheduled program, amazing. All I want you to do now, look at the information at the bottom, make your contribution to Zelle, Cash App, or MMG. Make your contribution. If you all them kudos, you're telling me that you did so well. Look, between yesterday and now, you see how much research we did to come here and to give you all them background information and so on. Come on, man. Come on. Show your appreciation. You gave us a lot of thumbs up, like well, relatively, and with the attendance and so on. I thank you. And again, I don't know if anything will break overnight, so we can come again tomorrow. But as it is now, God's Spare Life, we are scheduled to come on Monday with the next program. But as I said yesterday when we were closing, when things break, we will find the time to get impromptu classes for you. And given the fact that you turn up in such large numbers this afternoon, we are encouraged. And therefore, if something were to happen, we are going to come again. So just make your contribution, show me your appreciation, and we're going to be. So folks, again, as I always say, the roads in Guyana are dangerous. Be safe. A lot of rain falling. And therefore, you have to be extra careful. So until we meet again, as now it is scheduled for Monday, be safe, especially over the coming weekend. Be safe. Take care. Bye.